You know what it is, yeah? The hair's out, the true me is out, because this is about to be some real video I'm making. So this video is a bit different. Today I'm going to talk about my experience growing up in a single parent household. Now, what you see online, there's a lot of people who say it's the worst thing ever, it's not that great. And I'm just going to be real today and say, in my experience, is it a good or bad thing? Or is it just manageable? But first, actually, let me start with some context. So throughout life, my dad's never been there. I've seen him a few times, but not enough times to remember anything he's actually told me. I'll be so real. I don't know if that's a good way to start it, but just gotta start like that, innit? So obviously I'm a guy that was raised by my mum, and there's been very, very tough times throughout. My mum's a strong woman, and I actually commend the strong single mothers that raise their parents correctly. When I say parents, raise their kids correctly. So yeah, to start with, going to primary school. Now, I was always a calm person. I'd like to think that I just sat down, done my thing, minded my business, and I was just out the way. I was never the type of person to pick on other people or do any of that. In fact, actually, I was the one who got picked on in primary school. I remember I'm not even gonna mention this guy's name, but there was this one person in particular. He used to call me Baldy, and that actually used to piss me off as well, because at the time, a lot of the other people there, they had hair. And there weren't many black guys at primary school from the one I went to, or the ones I went to, should I say. Like back in primary school, to get any type of attention as a black guy, all you had to be was literally just fast. That's it. You had to be fast and maybe just have an afro back then or something. And that's all you had to do to get some type of attention. And you see how some mothers say, oh, just ignore them, or just mind your business and forget about them. Like in primary school, I got called Baldy, and then when I grew out my hair a little bit, just a little bit, I started to gel it just to try to create some curls in it. And then this one guy used to say, oh, you got dandruff in your hair, because it was like flaky. And the fact I just sat there and affirmed that whilst he was saying all this to me on a consistent basis, I look back and I just think, like, I wish I could have done something or said something back then. Because if you don't stand up for yourself, no one's going to stand up for you. Let's be real. Obviously, if some people are saying something to you, you don't always have to respond. But you should know what the consequences are if they keep saying it and you don't respond. You know what I'm saying? So when I didn't respond, he thought it was okay to keep on doing it. So nah, like looking back, that guy would get slapped. I can't lie. It was so jarring. But for example, in that situation, let's say my dad was there. I feel like if I told him about that, then he would have encouraged me to at least do something about it. Whether that be harm the guy or whatever, I feel like a man would say to do something in that situation. He wouldn't just say, oh, ignore him. So it's things like that where I realize maybe I just allowed a lot because that's what I got told to do. Whereas in my heart, I knew it was wrong, but I just stayed quiet anyway because I was kind of afraid of the consequences. But looking back, I did a lot of things different. Now, don't get me wrong, yeah. I do believe that one strong parent can raise you, but the best advantage any kid can have is two strong, loving parents, because there's always things that a mum knows which a dad doesn't, and there's always things that a dad knows which a mum doesn't. And when they come together, you get the best type of kid, in my opinion. Like, there's a lot of things in my life which I don't even know because I didn't grow up with my dad. Even in terms of sports, I feel like naturally I could have been more sporty than I was. Like obviously I go gym now, but gym now compared to what I was doing back then, I wasn't really into sports like that back then. Played a bit of basketball, played a bit of football. That was about it really. I wasn't doing no extra stuff. And that was literally a thing where I played it only when others were playing it. It was never a thing where I was just picking up a ball and just doing that on my ones. Like, nah. Like, my mum's not into sports, so I was never really going to be put down that path. But I'm really thinking, what path could I have been on if my dad was there? Like, could I have been a basketballer, footballer? But growing up with just my mum, it's made me realize that there's certain conversations which I just can't relate to, because some parents, or some kids should I say, they have both parents there, and there's relatable situations which they can all talk about. With me, since both weren't there, it's like you just gotta smile through certain conversations and just pretend like you have input. So there's even some conversations people talk about, and I'm like, yeah, but I don't know a thing they're talking about. I just say yeah to act like, you know, I get what they're saying, but truthfully speaking, I just don't. So in terms of how it affected me during school, I'd say I missed out on the sporty aspect. I feel like I could have been a little bit more athletic, but who knows? I feel like I didn't really stick up for myself where I should have. And there's been multiple times where I could have done something, but I just stayed quiet and just ignored. There's even some basic life knowledge which actually just wasn't there because obviously he wasn't around to tell me about certain things. So I kind of just had to experience a lot for myself to actually understand and have a grasp of what things are. But you know what? Life happens. Certain things you gotta experience either way, no matter what people tell you. Obviously, it'd be nice to have some advice beforehand, but some things you just gotta experience anyway. So did I really miss out on anything? Missed out on a couple things, but overall, I don't know really. I feel like I grew up a little bit timid and I just wasn't really sure of myself because with my mom, the very small things matter. And I feel like I implemented that into my own mind. Whereas I was looking at myself and I was just thinking like, oh, okay, I should be changing this, and this about myself. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, that's probably the reason why I even started looking at my hairstyle and realizing, okay, I need to do better. I need to fix my teeth. And you see in present day, it's also another thing I gotta say. In present day, I know to stand up for myself and defend myself given the situation. Before, I just didn't know. Like, I just didn't know how to. And that kind of made me regret a lot of things. Because it's like, imagine what things could have been like if you just defended yourself that one time. Imagine what things could have been like if you just called that one person a bitch. Life could have been different, you know? Even just relationships and this whole dating talk, it never ever happened with me. So I had to literally just figure out a lot and kind of use the internet to learn. Because without the internet, I wouldn't have known certain things. I would have just had to experience everything myself. Like when I got to college, that's when I really started to find myself and figure out like, okay, I need to step up the levels. I need to start defending myself. I need to not tolerate disrespect from anyone. That's when I really started to change as a person. And I realized in college as well, I need to do a lot of things different from what I was doing before. And I just need to step outside my comfort zone completely. So yeah, college, it was peaceful. Didn't really allow disrespect from anyone. So it's good, you know. I feel like I changed a lot from secondary school to college. And then when I got to uni, it just elaborated my growth. Not elaborated, extended my growth. But the obvious question which some people have is, what's it like growing up with just one parent? And truthfully speaking, it's alright, you know. It's alright. It's not bad. Like, if you got a good, loving parent, it's actually not that bad, you know? Like, you can have good conversations, you can love them on a different level, you can do the same things you would have with two parents anyway. So, yeah. Like, what I see nowadays is just people making excuses for the type of person they are. I don't think in some situations, parents even have a say of what goes on in their kids' lives. And what people do behind closed doors is not even anything they tell their parents anyway. Let's be honest now. So, I think some people, they like to do a whole lot of dumb stuff and then blame it on their parents and be like, oh, it's because I didn't have this, it's because I didn't have that. But truthfully, that ain't the case. Like, people like to think you can't be a good person because you don't have two parents in your life, and that's just not the truth, to be honest. You can be a good person with one parent and with two, or with none. You can also be a bad person with one parent, two parents, or none. So yeah, me, I've grown up nice. I'm not a dickhead to people. I don't harass people. I mind my own business, do my own thing. I don't think that me growing up in a single parent household has affected me in a negative way. Yeah, I might be missing knowledge on certain things and I've had to figure that out myself, but it's part of life, innit? I'm not a bad person because of that. I just think people nowadays, they want to be making excuses for their circumstances. And I just think, you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. You can't blame everything on your parents. Like, you are a person in control of your own body and you decide what you want to do. Overall, it hasn't really affected me. I've just missed a lot of knowledge and I just didn't stick up for myself. At times I should have. That's basically it. Anything else? Like, I can't relate to people in some aspects, but at the same time, I'm not going to relate to everyone in certain aspects. But yeah, this was a bit of a different video. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe, share the video. Come on.